Folks, we are back going through our top 10. I've got Father McMahon sitting with me here. We're getting ready for number 7 and number 8. Let's start with number 8. A bit of a controversial one because he was an import a little bit.
Yeah, Joe, let me just go back. I want to just make, I don't want to offend Father James Carlisle. If I can just go back quickly with a comment.
Sorry.
Carl was, yes, all-time leading gunner. I'm just going to say that there's, you hear rumors that he never played defense, never rebounded, never did anything but shoot. And I believe that's all true. However, I think he probably, if he had benefited from, my coaching the next year, because I wouldn't have allowed him to shoot every time he touched. But if he had, a couple more years, he would have, he might have been a top 5. And talent-wise, he's probably one of the better players we ever had. And I don't think I said that because we just kind of got the laughs out of the gunning part. We just had our alumni weekend a few weeks back, and that was one of the topics of conversation was, Nathan, who was the captain and was one of those other honorable mentions of that year, was just speaking about Carl and all the shots that he took. But I would clarify that it is true, but it was also a very talented player. Could have been much better if he had been able to play a few more years. Now we're to Worm. Worm, number 31. The number 31, which happened to be my high school number, which is hanging in the rafters at West Haven High School now, and therefore no one was allowed to have 31 until a special player came, and that was Worm. Now Joel Worm, it's a controversial episode simply because Joel was actually a lifelong St. Mary's Academy student, and he played against us for 3 years. The first 2 years, his freshman year, he might have gotten in a little bit of the game. His sophomore year, he was a major player for them. In both years, we defeated them. And one of his most important goals in life was to beat La Salette in the Corona Maria, and he fulfilled that dream. It's his disputed / miraculous shot off a number of different controversies in that game, which we're not going to go through. We'll give the devil his due, and they did get their one victory in 2011. The black year at La Salette, when we lost both to the Saints from BVM, who did have a much better team than us, here at the Coliseum by about 10 points. And then we also lost to St. Mary's for the one and only time it was down there. And they had a much better team than us. We had won only 4 games. I think we finished the season at 4-14. But we went down there and we had them. We were up by 5 with a couple of minutes to go. I just couldn't hold on. But he hit the shot at the buzzer, which was dubbed the shot heard around the society. What's interesting, though, is, however, just a few weeks after this heroic shot by Worm, his parents contacted me and wanted him to come to La Salette. They informed me they had always wanted him to come, but there was maybe financial considerations, some other considerations, but they really wanted him to come. He just finished his junior year, and we don't take seniors. So I told him, well, he could come under a few conditions. Number one, they needed to speak to the rector of St. Mary's and the headmaster of the school, Father John Fullerton, who was a very good friend of mine. I had to get his blessing to make sure that it was, for the right reasons before we would even entertain the possibility of taking him. Because you can imagine the controversy this is going to cause when, the Lion Slayer and St. Mary's greatest basketball player now wants to transfer to La Salette. I knew I was going to come under all kinds of criticism as the recruiter. Now, anyone who knows me and knows my competitive streak, actually, basketball-wise, I didn't want him to come because I wanted to beat him and his team the next year. But after Father Fullerton interviewed Mr. and Mrs. Worm and found out that it was a very good request, a young man thinking about a vocation, the boarding school would be a better environment, etc., we decided to allow him to apply, and he went through the interview process, and he did come in. The second requirement, though, was that I wouldn't allow him to come as a senior, so he had to come as a junior. We've never taken, we just don't take seniors, and we rarely take juniors. It's mainly people considering vocations that we would even consider at that point. So we did take Worm. He came, and we have him at 8th on the all-time list. I would say he scored over 500 points in his 2 years. He passed Eric Populus, who became the all-time leading scorer for at least a short year, because the next one on the list then surpassed in the following year. He had some big games. I have the list. His highest scoring game was 26 points. against Irvington Prep. He made a great shot at the buzzer. We had been, again, another lost-let moment, leading most of the game. Irvington Prep storms back in the fourth quarter, goes ahead, looks like we're going to lose. We're down by 2, and we're made a little floater in the lane, which kind of bounced one of those, going to overtime. We beat him by 10 or 11 points. It was a nice W. In many ways, Joel could have been higher on the list. I think, when he played against his old mates from St. Mary's, the heart kind of shrunk and the production wasn't quite there in those big moments. I think in that sense, I'd almost put Deister, Father Charles Deister, ahead of him, because in the big moments, Deister seemed to shine as some of the other people who were ahead of Joel on the list. But he was the first one that I gave 31 to. He was a special player and a dominating presence. When he was on, he owned the game. About 6'5", 6'6", certainly about the same size as me. Strong, a solid basketball player. One of the few who ever came to us actually, who already could play the game. So he gave us 2 good years, and those 2 good years put him at number 8 on the list.
And while we're talking about 6'5", 6'6" guys, there are a few guys that are here at the school right now who aren't going to make this top 12.
Yeah, it's a good point. I just want to make it clear, this is the 12 years preceding this. We're not putting any current players on, and there, we certainly have a few who would probably in subsequent years, when another top 10, top 12, or top list is made, they'll certainly make it, and would even make it if we included probably now. But I decided not to put anyone until their career is actually finished or has been finished, which leads us up to the class of 2017 last year. Yep.
Well, with that note, let's get to number 7.
Number 7, Dominic Martin, class of 2014. Dominic, number 11, was uniform number 11. Dominic, another one of the La Salette product, in the sense of having played very little basketball before, any organized basketball. Extremely hard worker. One of the young men who's won the Hammer Award, which is given to an athlete over the course of his years at the academy as a senior, has shown, culminating in the senior year, shown just an incredible desire to improve. And Dominic certainly did that as a point guard. He was a good passer, decent dribble, decent passer, but really became an excellent shooter. He broke the single game record in Coach Jim the Thumper Zigalich's coaching tenure at University High School, and it became such a big deal. We had a young man who was going for the scoring record, and I believe it was 37. I'm going to look that up. Single game, 37 points against Uni. The game was in hand, but we got to the point when it was close. I told Jim, I think he was 6 points away, had over 30, and I told him going into the fourth. Normally that time we were up probably by 30 or 40 points. I don't know what it was. Would have taken him out. We left him in with some of the subs. You get some more shots. Some of their fans weren't particularly happy about that, but I think for the good of the boy to try to break the single game record, I mean, any coach would do that. Jim left him in. He got the record, 37, and then also passed Worm 1 year after Worm. So he's not only one ahead of him on the list, he became the all-time leading scorer with, at that time, Dominic Martin, 562 points over his 3 years. He had a really great career. He was a good leader. Someone who worked hard to become good. One of our better captains. He was also the captain of the team in 2014. So Dominic comes in at number 7.
All right. Well, thank you, Father, for sitting down with me today. We'll have some more segments coming for you guys in the coming games in the coming weeks, so make sure you're following those games. Make sure you're cheering on the Lions as hopefully this win streak continues to grow.
Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going. Make some memories for the future.
Yeah, and make that list harder to make for Father Sick when he's done here.
That's right. All right. Thanks,
Have a
John.
good one.